Hello, good day to you all. Welcome to Realism, the podcast, a show that is passionate about the film world and all the universes within it. My name is Christian Spivey, and today we have an episode entitled Money Grabbers. We're going to get into that. It's a topic that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I've just been thinking about who I could do this with. And I finally found somebody that I feel like would be perfect for this. We actually met up for coffee and talked about it, and we'll also get into that and how it came about. But today's guest is Adam. Adam, welcome.
Thank you.
Adam does a really cool event here in Jacksonville. He does free movie nights on Thursdays. I'll let him take over and tell you about that more. But it's something that's local to the community. It's really cool, and I'm super honored that you're here. Adam, tell us about yourself.
All right. So I'm Adam. I'm originally sort of from Jacksonville, military kid. So
Okay.
one of those that's in and out of Jacksonville. So
Yeah.
this is mostly what I considered home. And growing up, my mom always worked in movie theaters, like since I was probably like 5. And so I spent a lot of my summers just hanging out in the lobby of movie theaters and hopping around to different movies. And that, with moving around and everything all the time, that movies were kind of like the one like constant in my life.
Yeah.
And it just kind of became how I process the world and like experiences and things like that. I kind of relate it to a movie.
Okay.
And so yeah, it's I was kind of thinking like when I got back. Hang on.
Yeah, you're good.
So I was kind of thinking about that, like that idea of movies with as a way of like processing the human experience and everything. And so I wanted to start something to try to find other people who kind of thought like that, or to maybe teach other people to kind of use movies as a way of processing the experience and kind of finding movies that did a good job of doing that. And so I kind of fell into the Atlantic Theaters. I kind of started going to the Beaches Vineyard Church, and they were looking at a way of using the building throughout the week, opening it up for the community. And so I reached out and asked if it would be cool to show movies here, since it is historically a movie theater.
Yeah.
And they were super awesome about it. They let me use their license so I can show movies for free.
Oh, cool.
And the only caveat to that is I can't charge for it, which is awesome for everybody.
Yeah.
So there's no way I can charge for the movies.
Free
or ever
movies?
thinking about it in the future. So yeah, I've just kind of been playing around with that for about a year and trying to figure out what it looks like. And I've kind of landed on a good kind of system and found a good group of people that come regularly. And I've added like a discussion element to it. So
Yeah.
there's actually a part where we get to see how we all interpret movies differently by sitting and talking about like what we just watched and, what did you think of this? And you find out like everybody was like having a different experience while we were sitting in there together. So it's really cool to see.
I love that. Wow. Thank you for doing that for Jacksonville. I don't think there's anything that cool as far as movie wise going on currently, or to my mind, unless you know.
I don't know of a ton going on. I think some other people may be trying to start something like that.
Yeah.
I know Blue Jay Listening Room tried to do that a while ago, but I'm just kind of lucky that I don't have to make money off of it.
Yeah.
And because it's kind of a niche thing where it doesn't really like generate a huge like crowd or anything.
Yeah.
And so, and I can't sell tickets, and I I don't make a lot of money off of concessions or anything like that. So it's not a real profitable thing to do.
Yeah.
So maybe one day it will be, and we'll see more of it around town.
I feel like it helps keep the focus on movies though, and like their experience as a whole.
Yeah.
Like instead of them and it like doesn't take away from it like afterwards, or like if they don't end up liking the movie, or if like they're just like, I don't know, like some people are weird about small crowds, I guess.
Yeah,
because it's too personable for them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they would. There's no opportunity for me to be like, man, I can't believe I wasted my time and money on that, or like anything like that. It's just like, oh, that was nice. Like maybe that actually might be even thankful that it was like free. Like, oh, cool. Like,
yeah,
love that.
I like to like make sure, or like make you conscious that you're going to have an experience.
Yeah.
Like it's not, you may not like the movie, and that's the experience you had, and you can share that with people, and there's still some value to watching a movie that you didn't like and kind of processing what you didn't like about it, or what it made you feel that you didn't like, and what's there, what's causing that feeling. Was it the movie was bad itself, or was it something you didn't want to like go into? So there's all these different reasons you don't like a movie. So that's why it's cool to talk to other people about it after you've watched it, just because like you see like, oh, this meant something to somebody, or or I didn't think of it this way, and so maybe if I go and watch it again, I might have a different experience.
Yeah, awesome. Sweet. Funny enough, we're actually filming here on location at the Atlantic Theater right now. Adam has graciously given us the opportunity, and the church as well. So thank you. Shout out to Vineyard Church, Atlantic Theaters in general, and Adam,
Thank you.
For giving us the opportunity to film here and just talk about it. I'm actually might get some footage of just some of the rooms. If that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. You should get some footage of the old projection booth.
Yeah,
for sure.
which is literally right over here behind us, or in front of him behind me. Anyway, yeah, I know you really touched on it a little bit, but what would you say your relationship with film is these days? You kind of give it insight on how you became into film, with your mom working at theaters, bouncing back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say it's like today? Are you heavily involved with watching a lot of movies? Because I know you're a family guy.
Yeah.
So what would you say it's like today?
Not as much anymore. I'm really behind on what's new in movies and stuff. If it kind of gets a lot of buzz, I'll get wind of it and check it out. But usually, I miss a lot of stuff. So my mom worked in movie theaters growing up, and then my first job was at a movie theater when I was 16, and then I kind of went into management when I was 18, and did that off and on until about 3 or 4 years ago. And so that's when, because I've always loved that. I've always loved the community aspect of the movie experience, and going out to the movies and seeing people who live around you, going to the local movie theater, and then coming out in the lobby and talking about what you saw. I just loved facilitating that experience. And then I immediately missed it when I left. I left the movie theater just because it's a lot of nights and weekends, and I have 2 kids, and you just kind of, at a certain point, it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
It's fun, it's great, but it doesn't pay amazing. And I am not seeing my kids in the times that they're free, and when they're awake, and so
it's not ideal for a family person, I feel like. In general, because it is long hours. Because we talked about it. You're a Regal guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Regal, man.
I know. Regal's not popular in Jacksonville. They're good
exactly.
in other markets, but Regal in Jacksonville, I'm not going to try to sell that.
That's all I have. So if I was going by Regal in Jacksonville, I'd be Regal's the worst.
Yeah, I don't know what their thinking was, and I probably don't want to speculate too much, but it's just for some reason, getting a hold of the Jacksonville market was just not a priority.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
Hey, what? It's if as long as they're succeeding somewhere, I'm good for them.
Yeah, no, but there's been some cool Regals I've been to, kind of traveling around. I've worked at quite a few of them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, what were we saying?
Just your relationship with film and all that.
Oh yeah. So I was working at a movie theater forever, and I immediately kind of missed, that hosting, creating that, facilitating that experience around film.
Yeah.
And I just kind of got lucky and fell into this situation. But a lot of my relationship to film now is more nostalgic, kind of looking back and bringing up older movies that may have kind of flown under the radar or been forgotten.
Which is what you like to show at
that's mainly what I show is I try to span that across different genres. I try to sometimes pick movies that I don't particularly even like, but it's movies that have some value and speak to a certain experience or something like that. So I try not to be too tied to my own taste.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. An unbiased, a perspective
on
film.
I try.
Yeah. Same. It's hard.
Yeah.
I definitely try too. I just want to check on this. Okay. I can't see the red light over there, so that's why I was making sure it's still recording. Okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for doing that. If you're in the Jacksonville area and you have a free Thursday night, actually they posted it on the Atlantic Theater Instagram, right?
Yeah, Atlantic Theaters, at Atlantic Theaters, and it's spelled the weird way, where
Really?
it's theaters is RE, not
Oh,
ER. So people
okay.
can't find it.
Oh,
That's
gotcha.
how it's spelled on the building, so that's
Yeah.
why I spelled it that way, and I knew it was going to be an issue.
Okay. Yeah, they have a lot of cool stuff here. They have the church. If you are spiritual in any way, they have a coffee shop during the week. I think it's 6 days a week.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's now 6 days a week, 7:30 to 1.
Yeah, Zapcat, they're cool people. Steven runs that,
Yep.
right? Steven, shout out Steven. He's probably not watching, but also, and then they have the Thursday nights. They start at 7, and then you have a discussion afterwards about the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they can't blatantly say what movie it is. You have to advertise it kind of under the radar kind of vibe.
Yeah, that's how so I use the church's license,
Mhm.
which is mainly like they have mainly to be able to show movies during like church services and things
Yeah.
like that. But it does have like a kind of a stipulation where they're allowed to show, have movie nights and things like that, but they're just not allowed to advertise the title to the general public
Ah,
or profit off of the movie in any way, or you can't use
Interesting.
it to promote another business or anything like that.
okay.
But so my way around it has been that I just post clues
Yeah.
that are very Googleable
Yeah,
clues if
yeah.
you want to figure it out, or if you're like really into movies, you can
Yeah.
usually guess from the quote or from like the year.
Yeah. I couldn't guess this one because I was like, because I haven't seen the film. But
Oh,
like,
the quote was "There can be only one." That's like that's like the quintessential Highlander quote.
I haven't seen it, so I guess I wouldn't get it. But I probably should. I will now. I'll watch it eventually now because I don't ever want that to happen again. I'm gonna be at a trivia night and I'm like, I don't know. And they'll be like, what? But okay, awesome. So as you guys know, the title is called Money Grabbers. I do have a definition that I made up for it, just so I can help you understand like what my meaning of this. I feel like everyone has their own version of this, like meaning of this. Like you have your own version because we'll get into that too. But we're basically and mostly discussing what Adam and I's perspective on this term money grabbers. That is just a made up term that I've like just come up with just for this episode. I'm pretty sure you have a definition for it or a term for it in some way or another. But basically, a money grabber to me is just an unnecessary addition to a franchise or unnecessary spinoff. The only reason they're making it is to make more money and ignore the cinematic experience and they're really just failing the audience and the viewer right off the bat when it comes to most of these films. Some examples that I could give you right now, in my opinion, is the new Hunger Games film. I'm laughing because I'm literally seeing that with my wife and friends this weekend. So it's going to be funny to talk about this topic and then me going to see this film. But it's more of I've seen the other ones and then I kind of want to just, I love going to the movies with my friends and my wife especially as well. So it's just, that's what I'm really going for.
Mm-hmm.
So when I put in that perspective, and I've seen all the other films and I'm interested, I didn't really want to go out of my way,
Mm-hmm.
but it's what they wanted to see, and I think they've read the book, and then my wife is a big fan of the franchise already, and it wasn't bad like overall, but funny enough like that I gave that example. But another one would be Indiana Jones 5, and the one prior probably, and then like shows like Prison Break. They keep making more seasons. They announced another reboot, and I'm just like, what is going on? But a lot of those are like the examples that what I'm thinking of. It's mostly spinoffs. It's mostly franchises for me. I'm just like sick and tired of it. I'm just like, I know what you're doing, studios. You're making money. You just want to make money. And then I know what some people are thinking. Christian, aren't movies made to make money and profit? Yes, but there's also an artistic side of things that we'll discuss coming into now. But I wanted to ask you if you had a kind of a version or term or kind of a definition of your own of what this means.
Yeah. Well, first off, like I think it's interesting what you said about how you're going to see the Hunger Games movie, even though you consider it to be a money grabber movie, because it like, in some ways it doesn't matter. Like it's still like, it's the only artistic integrity is not the only reason to go see a movie.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't need like to be like a snob about like your movie taste and be like, I just want everybody to know this is not a good movie and this is, I know what they're trying to do and all of that. And like we want to do that as like movie fans and everything, but like I go to movies that I know are not great. Like it's just a fun experience.
Yeah.
Like, and especially if you're going with a group of people. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want to knock those movies completely.
Yeah, of course.
But they, but yeah, when we talk about like, what was the reason a movie was made? Mm-hmm. Like there are some that are very clearly, I called them popcorn movies was my term for it at the movie theater. It was like it was just made to sell popcorn. And so yeah, it's kind of similar where it's like, there wasn't a lot of consideration for the art, the storytelling or anything like that because the movie has enough, the franchise has enough prestige already to sell tickets without the movie having to be good.
Yeah.
And so you can take advantage of that. And it's kind of only natural for businesses to take advantage of that and say like, you know, we don't have to put all of this effort into this when we know people are going to watch it anyway.
I really hope it blows my mind. I hope it like I'm wrong. Like every time I have this feeling that a movie is going to be bad or I have that like, oh, it's just a money grabber movie. I'm just like, I go in like really hoping I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Like if that's happened before, I can't think of an example right off the bat. I'll probably think of it towards the end. But like, I really hope I am wrong because I know there's hard work. I know there's talent in this film. Like Viola Davis, Peter Dinklage. Like there's a lot of good talent in there. I'm not a big fan of the actress or whatever. Just not really because of what's the controversy that's going on with her. But just in general, I don't know. I just saw her in West Side Story and I was just like, I really think they could have picked another actress. But
wait, who's the actress? Is it not Jennifer Lawrence?
Rachel Zegler, I think her name is. I don't even know.
Who that is.
She's supposed to be the new Snow White in the live action film, but she was in the new.
So you see how I follow new movies.
No, it's all good. But yeah, she was in the remake, Steven Spielberg's remake of A West Side Story, and it wasn't bad. Like it's great. It was just it was just a newer twist, newer actors, and like better camera, better gear, I guess. But she did a good job. I could have seen a lot of other people do it, but you know, I wasn't the one I wasn't the casting director. I wasn't the I wasn't the director. Anyway, she's not untalented. That's not what I'm trying to take away from her. But like, I'm just not the biggest fan. But like, I'll never take that away from people. Like they're obviously doing something right. They're obviously talented to most of the world. Like Timothy Chalamet. What is his name? Chalamet. Sorry. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of him, but I think he's a great actor overall. Like I think he's actued talented. Yeah. But don't know, just something about
him. I don't know.
But that's just me.
It's just so pretty.
So, this is my opinion. But yeah, so popcorn movies is the term you would use.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have any of?
I probably have a much longer list. I think most movies kind of fit into that.
Yeah.
Most like popular movies, any sequel I think is that on some level.
Okay. Yeah.
Unless it was, you know, a sequel that had a very specific purpose, like it was a longer story that needed to be broken up or something like that.
Yeah.
I may think that there was some good reason to break it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, any sequel, and what else did I have? I had some movies. So I would think of any of the new Star Wars
I knew
as that.
Anybody, I feel like everyone would say that except me.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm saying. It has value to somebody. So like, it's hard to say like, oh, they just want to make money because there's people in the business that is their job is to make money off of it. But as far as TV, I think like most TV shows when they get into the later seasons are just to make money, just because the fans are attached to the characters. Kind of our culture doesn't want to let things go. Yeah. And so like, you know, you can keep making money off of it even though it's like not even really the same thing. Like like the post Steve Carell Office seasons are like significantly lower quality stories than the original, but you know, it's still got some life in it and you still get to see the characters. And the reboot of Arrested Development
Yeah. Oh my gosh. After what, like 20 years or something like that? Or...
It was 6 years after it went off the air.
Oh,
I remember
okay.
because I was a huge Arrested Development fan and was all about like trying to get them back. Like I was like on like the online petitions, like bring back Arrested Development and everything. And then like 6 years later they did, and I was like, oh, this is not good.
And it ended after that, right? Or they didn't make any more?
No, they made another one. And it's okay. Like it's still like the same quality. It's just it just kind of expired. Like it's just past its time or something.
Yeah, okay.
Like it just doesn't click the same way.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of shows that like that got picked up that are just like, oh man, like oh. But then there's some examples I feel like that were for the good and they did it for the fans, and I feel like they did a better job, even though like obviously they're probably profiting off of it. I feel like Cobra Kai did a good job from YouTube TV to Netflix. Because Netflix picked it up because YouTube's like, yeah, we're just not gonna do this anymore. It's not doing well, or whatever. And then like Netflix like, no, this is great. Like fans love it. Like let's just keep going.
Yeah.
And I think it got better because they were able to get more budget and get more of the older actors in there and meet their demands, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that was for the good.
Like, and that's the thing too. The one good thing I think comes out of this world of like money grabbing movies and like algorithm, like Netflix, like kind of making movies, like reverse engineering movies where like something was good. You watch this movie and then all of a sudden you get like 10 movies that look like the same thing, like suggested to you, and they're just like pumping them out really quick. But at the same time, like they're producing so much content and just like greenlighting so much just because it fits a certain like standard. Some good stuff sneaks in there.
Yeah.
Too. So like just because like, oh, we know that this will make money whether it's good or not, and we're just gonna greenlight it, produce it, and put it out. And every now and then, like some of them are actually good. Yeah. Like it depends on who's involved, how much care was taken into the production, and how they were able to get their actual vision across.
Yeah. And I think it really just shows like the talent of some people as well, especially like writers. So like what comes to mind is like how I said earlier, like Prison Break. It's just like, I think after their normal run, they came back with a newer season. Because, are you familiar with Prison Break?
I'm not familiar. I mean, I remember it being on, but I never really watched it.
Potential spoilers. Are you okay with
I'm fine, yeah.
Okay. Potential spoilers. Or no, spoiler alert ahead. So basically the character, I guess towards the end of the series, I guess finds out he has cancer or some kind of illness that is terminal. So basically at the end of the series, you just kind of like, okay, so he's gonna, Michael Scofield, I think is the main character. You're like, oh, he's just gonna die. Like, that makes sense. Like, that has to end the show. It makes sense to like, okay, he's done, like, whatever. So when they announced the new season, you're just like, what? How the heck are they supposed to, like, how are they gonna bring him back? And I forget how they brought him back or whatever, but like, basically it's like, oh, he didn't, like, he overcame it or something like that. But that's like the trailer. It's just like, Michael's not dead. Like, he's in another prison. Like, go save him. Like, what? Like, how? Like I thought it was pretty creative for the most part of how they brought it back. Yeah. But now I'm just wondering like, oh, it's a reboot that they announced, the newest one for Hulu. I think so. I think it's a whole new cast or a whole new kind of vibe. But like people love the heist, like escape things. They've been around since like at least I can remember like the 40s.
Yeah.
So
and that's what you're in it for with that type of thing, not the plausibility of the story.
Yeah. Like, narratives that are nostalgic. Like done with a different twist.
It reminds me of Heroes. Did you ever watch Heroes?
Yes, I loved Heroes.
Yeah, but they kind of did that. They like started out really strong, and then like they just refused to let any characters die. Like they came back in these crazy ways all the time.
Yeah, especially like your main guys. Like I feel like, it just did not make sense. Like some of it. And like, it got really crazy. Like it got real complicated. Like, cause everyone's powers started advancing. Like there was like evolutions to like everyone's powers, and it started like getting like, oh, that's really cool. But like, how are they alive? Like, like I thought they had a great villain. Like overall, and it ran 4 seasons?
What?
Heroes.
Yeah, I think so.
And then they did a spinoff, or
did they? I think I kind of vaguely remember that. I mean, I know I kind of dropped off like mid-3rd season, I think. Yeah. Like, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
And they just, I don't know. I wish it would have went longer. I think it could have been a good 6-season show. Yeah. Because there's so much you could do. But I thought the characters were really good, and the powers and how they introduced it. Yeah. It was a lot more gory than I remembered. I think for an NBC TV show.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I remember it was like the first episode where the girl's hand gets like mangled.
Yeah, you're just like, what? Like, this is a TV show.
Yeah.
But like Skyler, his name, right? Skyler, the villain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zachary Quinto's character. He was good. Like, I thought it was a good like origin, and then everything. It was slow for a while.
Yeah.
But I think they did a really good job. But dang, bring back Hero. Never mind. Just kidding. I want to rewatch that.
Don't
now.
bring back Heroes.
Yeah,
Do something different.
Yeah, please do. Well, they have a bunch of superhero shows out now. Like one that's really successful, it has a spinoff already that has gotten renewed for season 2 is The Boys.
Mm-hmm.
The Boys on Amazon Prime, and they just got a spinoff called Gen V,
Mm-hmm.
and then they just got renewed. Their spinoff got renewed, and then season 4 is, I think, filming again since the actor strike is over now. But anyway, but those are good shows.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought or my.
Well, while we're on a tangent, I kind of wanted to. I was just thinking about something with this when I was thinking about money grabbers before, about like, it's kind of an American thing, primarily, and like thinking like, I wonder if has something to do with like our culture's like fear of death. Like we kind of like want to hang on to things for so long, like because the British Office was 3 seasons and it was over, and like most British TV shows, I'm not like an expert on British TV, so I might be wrong, but mostly like they're pretty much, they play out until the end and then they're over.
Yeah,
like people love it and then it's over. But American shows have never been able to do that. Never been able to just be like, okay, the story's done.
Oh yeah.
Just because like we get attached to the characters and it feels like a death whenever they're gone.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how much that plays into it.
Even if it makes sense, people are like, no, keep going.
Yeah,
like,
just keep going. Just make something.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's happening with Stranger Things. Like the brothers are like, yo, we got to wrap this up. These kids are getting way too old.
They're way too old.
Yeah, like the last season was kind of cringe in a sense. I get the direction they had to go in. Like it made sense. It wasn't like that's dumb. It was just like oh dang, those kids are getting old because like I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And they had that issue with the remix of It. Like they had to, some of the kids got older between filming and because of something, but they had to use de-aging technology for the kids.
Oh man.
Because a lot of them had growth spurts over time and
Yeah.
like whatever, and it showed like comparison. It was funny, and I was like, oh dang. I guess what stinks about working with child actors, especially in like longer periods of time, but I think that it makes sense for Stranger Things to end soon. Like, there's only so much I feel like you could do with that origin.
You think so? You say that with a lot of shows, and then they just keep going.
Or unnecessarily keep going.
Yeah.
Let me find my place real quick. Do you think these are taken away from the movies at all?
No, I think it's been a part of movies since the beginning. There's just one thing I love about movies is that it's kind of like this tightrope act of collaboration, where there's so many voices that have to come together to create this piece of art that it's not like, writers, directors get most of the credit for it because they're the ones kind of like guiding it for the most part, but like sound design, all of this stuff, like are experts that are trying to create the vision of the writer, the director, and everything. And so with that collaboration element that's necessary in film, there's always the risk of going too far in one direction or emphasizing one thing too much. And so, you can have movies that the producers, distributors have too much say in what's happening in the movie and how it's going to have mass appeal, what kind of return it's going to get, and everything like that. They need to be there because there's another side where you let a filmmaker have too much control over the project, and they alienate most of the audience by having too much like kind of creative control. Like I feel like that's what's happened with like Wes Anderson for me. Like he got a ton of like hype early in his career, And then like people just started letting him make whatever he wanted and just put it out. And it's a Wes Anderson movie. It's going to do well. It's going to make money. It's pretty. But that's really all it has going, like to me anyway, that's really all it has going for it is it's really pretty. Yeah. It's very like well designed and calculated and like it's just Wes Anderson style. But it also lacks a lot of like the depth to the story that it used to have, where, you know, if someone would kind of push back a little bit more and be like, hey, this doesn't really make sense, or like, I don't think most audiences are going to be able to kind of follow what's going on here. Maybe you can try this and like, but that's why I think like with Wes Anderson specifically, I think Owen Wilson's role in that process had a lot more to do with like what made it so good. It wasn't just Wes Anderson; it was Owen Wilson's kind of him being a writing partner and you know kind of balancing it out and making it more kind of approachable. Yeah. So yeah, it's such a balancing act with films anyway. Like I don't blame any of them for going too far in one direction because it's like that's what you expect to happen. Like it's magic when it actually works. Yeah. But it's like to make that magic, there's like a million failures of like, oh, we put too much emphasis on this, or we didn't focus enough on this part of it, and it's just kind of lacking and feels kind of flat in this area. But that's just part of the game. I think. Okay. Another recent example I would think of as a money grabber, a kind of a in between of a money grabber is the Barbie movie. Yeah. Okay. I loved the idea. I was super excited about it because I like Greta Gerwig and what she's done. But Warner Brothers has the tendency to overstep and wring as much money out of a movie as possible. Yeah. And you definitely saw that with Barbie. Oh, yeah. So that was a movie where it's like the artistic side of it was able to come out because it was so strong, but the money grabber aspect of it was kind of neck and neck with it too. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. So that would get rid of my next question, like of our studio's failing audiences. But I was thinking about a question while you were talking. It just came to mind. Was just like, do you think art and entertainment needs to become before the like financial gain, or do you think that's just separate roles for different people? Because I know there's a business side of things, and then there's an artistic side of things. So, like, what do you think that has to come beforehand or after? That would keep this separate. Like, oh yeah, this is like the studio's job, and then this is like the director and creative team or teams. Okay. Well, there has to be a balance in communication in it, but it definitely is separate things. It's separate mindsets. Like it's different skill sets, really. Like. A director needs to be able to hear from a producer who's thinking about marketability and everything, and be able to kind of take those notes and fit their vision into something that's going to reach a wider audience. But at the same time, like the producer needs to hear a director who's saying like, no, that violates the integrity of what I'm trying to do, and be able to say like, okay, then, kind of defaults to your judgment on that, Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of I'm not in those rooms. It's hard to say like how it all plays out. But because there are those films that that succeed, that are just, I feel like, very artistically driven, and it's just like they had complete creative control, and they just delivered their vision, and then like the studio was just like, all right, we'll just market it, and then you take care of the rest, kind of deal. And I feel like a good example of less, especially in like this day and age, would be probably Everything Everywhere All at Once. I feel like those dudes were just like, I don't feel like there was any like studio like mashup or any like producer going like, that's a little too weird, like let's like. No, but it's like, I feel like A24 was just like, like we'll just push it out for you, and like, because this is great. Yeah. And like, and they were highly successful, at least for their budget comparison. And they obviously won a lot of Oscars if people care about like awards like that. Some people do. I think it's fun to be honored for your work. Obviously, it's not the most important thing. You're not making a movie for an Oscar or a that's another way you can go. Yeah.
Because you mentioned something like you wanted. That's kind of like a concept of like people making movies or something, right? You were
Yeah,
wanting to
I
mention
call those
something.
Oscar bait.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah, the ones that come to mind for me, like over the years, have been like Precious, The Green Book,
Okay.
even Moonlight. I only
Yeah.
saw that recently because someone suggested it
Yeah.
for like my Pride Month theme.
Yeah.
And like when I watched it, I was like, oh man, everybody loved this movie. I've been meaning to watch it. And then I like watched it. I was like, oh, I hated that. Like
Oh,
that
really?
was just like award bait type storytelling, and it would like had like it just was completely flat to me.
Oh,
Like,
wow, interesting.
So yeah, I threw that one in there. It might be a hot take, but I throw that
Yeah.
in with the others.
I think that would be a really hot take for a lot of people. Oh man, I did not know that. Yeah, because I think they won that whole mishap at that Oscars.
Yeah, but they won Best Picture.
Yeah, so interesting. So maybe that's a discussion to have in another episode.
Yeah.
Part 2.
Yeah. Oh, I could go all into it. I have notes of what like where the
let's
movie
save
failed.
It then.
Like.
Oh dang, you heard it here. We're gonna talk about that next time. Okay, so like most of the films that we just mentioned are A24 films, or at least those two are. The one I mentioned, Everything Everywhere, and then Moonlight. Do you think A24 is doing all right when it comes to like producing films, or not producing, putting out films? Because they're not, obviously they've even said it. I think the founders or like people who started A24 were like, yeah, we just want to go for the other guy, like the quirky, weird stories that Hollywood doesn't want to put out. We want to put those out, and we don't care how we do it. We just want to do it.
Yeah.
And now they're becoming one of the most successful and like well-known and like well-treated movie studios out there right now.
Yeah.
So.
They're definitely doing it right in terms of what I want to see.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
In not just in what they produce, because I've watched some movies like Moonlight from A24, and there's been other A24 movies that I just thought were not very good.
Yeah.
But what they are doing is letting other voices get through, and like really kind of amplifying those voices and putting them into, the mainstream where people can see them. I don't know that that'll hold up forever.
Yeah,
like I think like as things grow, like things change, you kind of get used to the way you're doing things, and then when things change, you don't want to kind of pivot and move with it.
Yeah.
Like I think with the thing with the Daniels with Everything Everywhere All at Once, they don't fit into a mold of like a type of movie that they make. They're kind of their own genre.
Yeah.
And so like nobody can really tell them how to do it because they're the only ones that do it.
Yeah, that is true.
So, but then you could go down that path. Like, I mean, I think that's what Wes Anderson was. But then you just become like a caricature of yourself. Like, as you like, oh, this has been successful. I can make something like that again.
Yeah.
And you see that. I feel like you see that all the time with people, like creative people.
Yeah.
Once you get successful, it just the product.
Oh
kind of diminishes.
Yeah, I can agree. Like, I would love to see him like switch it up a little bit and just like not rely on his like storybook style, play style, cinematic. But obviously that's like Wes Anderson. I'm not saying don't take it out completely, but I would say like, oh, just sprinkle it in there just to like, just establish yourself like, oh, this is still a Wes Anderson film.
Yeah.
But like put some like heavier drama maybe, I don't know, but like then again it's like some people are like, no, he needs to stay or I'm not gonna watch it. Like,
yeah, no, it definitely, there's a lot of people that still get a lot out of it, so I wouldn't want to knock it completely, but like that's how my vision of Wes Anderson has kind of gone over the years, because I was like a massive Wes Anderson fan and like really tried to like his new movies, and it's like I can't. Like, I can't get into it.
I feel that. I think his last good movie, to me, and you didn't answer this if you want or not, but like I would say, oh man, this is bold, but like I would say Grand Budapest. I think that was his last like really good, like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Like, I think Isle of Dogs was good, but it wasn't like, I think stop motion is awesome. Like, I think it's really cool that people will still want to dip into that. And the story was really good and unique in itself.
Those I feel like are in a category of their own too.
Yeah.
Like that and the Fantastic Mr. Fox.
But one of his best, in my
yeah.
opinion.
It has like a lot of influence from, what's his name? The guy that directed Nightmare Before Christmas.
Tim Burton?
No.
Oh yeah, he didn't do that, did he?
What is the guy's name?
Oh, I don't know now. I thought it was Tim Burton for some reason.
Henry Selick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like a big stop motion guy.
Oh, yeah.
So he had done like the animation in Life Aquatic, and then
okay.
he had kind of went in and did like the Fantastic Mr. Fox. I don't know if he, I'm sure he helped out with Isle of Dogs as well.
Probably.
But yeah, those are kind of like in a category of themselves of like the Wes Anderson like live action movies. The last one that I thought was good was the Life Aquatic.
Okay.
So it goes a little further back for me.
Wow. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Interesting.
I'm just filled with hot takes here.
Yeah. Hot takes with Adam. Here we go. Okay. So, would you say you believe that like studios can still profit though and deliver cinematic masterpieces with like keeping the business first and like really just delivering on the artistic aspect, if that's like the case, like kind of thing? I mean, it's happened before, but like, do you think that should be a direction people should go in, or?
Like profiting? I definitely want people to profit off of it.
Yeah, of course. So the studios can keep still making movies and all.
Yeah.
But do you think like, since like they've seen the success with it, do you think that it might lean towards that way or going in that direction? Like Everything Everywhere is like the most recent example in my opinion, but like Everything Everywhere All at Once, profitable. It made money. It was like really good in itself. I think everyone could agree that it's unique and great and awesome and blah blah blah. But do you think like the studio should start doing that, like letting those stories, like just let them tell their stories and like let them rely on that and like hopefully take some more risk on it. Like I know A24 is producing a lot of those films these days, and they'll probably be top dogs sooner or later, and start buying rights to stuff. Maybe I already got some whiff that they might buy some like rights to some stuff.
Yeah.
But do you think that's like do you think studios should take a little bit more risk on things instead of doing all these spin-offs and all that, even though they work technically?
Of course, I would say yes because I just want the art. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not the one like losing money on it. So
touche.
But I also have seen too many like just like free reign directors making movies that just aren't as good as what they used to make just because of their name. I would rather see more studios like A24, like what they're doing, specifically seeking out people who are doing something different and like getting different like ideas and styles out there and voices, and it's just when we're thinking about money, it just becomes too much of the same. And so that's what I think should be more of the focus, is being like, oh well, we haven't heard this perspective in a while, or we've never heard this perspective, or we've never seen this done before, and like I don't know who this person is making it or what they've ever done, but we can give them a chance just because it's interesting and new. Interesting and new is not something that's that has a lot of monetary value.
Yeah, okay.
It's like you want someone to do it and see that it's successful, and then everybody will jump on board with it. But like, there's got to be somebody who's willing to just like take a chance on somebody. So yeah, I guess I would say I would like to see people doing that more, because that's what advances things.
Yeah.
And we get to see all these different things that we never thought possible, or that we'd ever see.
Yeah. I hope they do. I hope studios just takes more risks on these original takes. Of course, it's debatable of like what's really original or not. But like, let's just say that most of it is, like, because I think Everything Everywhere is pretty original. And obviously, the concept of it wasn't original. Multiverse is not original.
Right.
Like, we've had that before, or it's getting more popular. But like, I hope they take risk on these stories. Not just A24. I hope more people. I think Barbie was a risk for Warner Brothers, and I think it was a huge success. I think it's already over $1 billion in worldwide box office, which is huge success, because I think their budget was like $300 million or something, which is insane. Like, which is still an insane budget for a film, but like making $1 billion is probably a really good thing in any type of business. But it was just I just hope they take more risks so that more of these stories have the opportunity to be told, so that other people, because like I feel like that's just the way to go. It's like, and I feel like that's the only way. Like obviously pour some realistic stuff in there, pour like you into your writing, or to all the writers and directors or whatever, like in my opinion, because that's what I want to do. I want to deliver as much original stories as possible, and I feel like the opportunity is even more so these concepts that I feel like I ran that I thought like, oh, that's too weird for Hollywood, but it's like, no, it's becoming more like not normal, but more of an opportunity. It's like, yeah, well, let's see what happens, and then who knows, it might just not just mine, but that other person that have this crazy idea. I don't know. I just want to see more risk from big time studios, especially. I mean, I really hope A24 takes over, as long as they keep doing what they're doing, don't lose themselves in the process. But I do think that money grabbers need to dial down a little bit. I think, as when I say that, what my definition of it was, like, I think spin-offs and franchises don't need to keep making things. Obviously, if it's working for you and you need to make money, so all stuff like that can happen, then yeah, I guess that's okay at the end of the day. But I feel like you're better than that at the end of the day too, and you shouldn't bank on that, because eventually that's going to get old and dry. Like in cinematic universes, that's already getting old for a lot of people. Like a lot of people don't even like seeing Marvel movies anymore, because of, it's like, okay, like they felt like the big epic happened, and now you're trying to like start all over from ground zero and make another one. But I don't think anything's gonna be. You can't do that two in a row. You know, lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place, I feel like. So it's like, it's going to be tough to do that if they are successful. But it's already been not really successful, because I feel like it's just too much. Like, just get to your saga. You did it. You did it in 20 films or whatever it was. And then, like, Endgame was awesome.
Yeah.
But like, let's just keep it at that. I know you haven't really participated in Marvel films too much, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I
mean,
hot take number 3.
Yeah, that is that whole franchise is a money grabber to me.
But I feel like cinematic universes are like, I agree, they're getting a little old, or like, you don't need to make them everything a cinematic universe. Like it doesn't need to all relate, and just so you can make more movies and make bad ones to get to a really good one, I guess. Not that happens all the time, but
I think you also see some things come out of those big budget money grabber movies that kind of open a door to kind of a different type of filmmaker to use some of those techniques differently, or just you see that something's possible. The industry sees that something's possible, and then that just kind of opens the door for someone to do something more interesting with it. That's why, like I still, like, I'm not a big fan of James Cameron's movies themselves, but what he does with the technology is he pushes the technology forward, and then somebody else can come along and do something interesting with it. And so, like, he has the ability to do that, so that, like, there's value to that. Like, I think. Same thing with like the multiverse. Like multiverse has been almost like a tired subject before, and then like the Daniels came along and like showed a whole new way to approach it, and it was like mind blowing. It was something that we'd kind of seen 100 times, but not in this way.
Yeah.
So
there's like I can agree with that for sure. Like I said, I hope it like creates opportunities. Like if it keeps studios going, and like I'm not saying everything is bad in that concept. Like some of it is good, but I just know when to end it, or just know when to like not do it. Like I feel like some moves are just not the move. Like I feel like some ended well, and some should just end the way they are. Like everyone's like pissed off about. I don't know. Are you a fan of Ted Lasso? Have you watched that? Mm-hmm. So everyone like hated, or not hated, but they like hated that it's only 3 seasons, and that it kind of just wrapped up that Ted Lasso story, and like that's kind of like it for it. It's like, well, that's what they planned. That's what they said from the beginning.
That's what I'm saying, and that was a British production. Like it was like, that's how they do TV shows. Like, and we just have this like we can't let it go, and. That's what's so. It's really not. It's not on the. It's not really the responsibility of the studios to stop making money grabbers. It's the responsibility of the audience to stop falling for it. Just stop going just because like, oh, I want to see those characters again. Just be like, no, I think the story's been told and I don't really need to see it anymore. If we approach stories like that, then there's no money to be made on making. But as long as we're as we're into it, it's just going to keep happening.
Yeah.
So, which is fine. I mean, it's just our culture. It's how we operate. We like excess.
Yeah. So, there's like whiff that they're going to continue like that universe or whatever with how they end. Are you caught up?
Mm-hmm.
So how they ended it, like they're gonna like just pick it up, but like without, I guess, Jason Sudeikis. That's the rumors.
Yeah.
But they'll call it like it'll be like a brand new show, but it will just continue that aftermath or whatever. I'm just like, but like, where are you gonna go with it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like why we ended it well? Like everyone, I'm okay with it. Like,
Yeah.
just use your imagination. Like you don't need to see it visually. Like, what are you just gonna see like Richmond like without Ted Lasso? Like
I think that's all. Like a lot of the audience wants is just to see the characters, like the value, the quality, the intrigue of the story is not that important. It's really just like I just want to see them live their lives. If we like,
just knowing to end it. I feel like some shows did it well, like some didn't. Like that went on too long. Supernatural went on too long, I feel like. But I feel like Parks and Rec, in my opinion, ended well. What was it, 6 seasons they did? Mm-hmm. I think that ended well. Yeah, it felt kind of rushed at the end because they're like, yeah, I think we're just going to wrap it up. It's time. And like maybe they could have done that in 2 seasons, maybe. But I kind of like how they did it because it kind of did like a time hop thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Which is kind of like a cop-out, but like it worked for them.
It worked well because I think it would have gotten old.
Yeah.
Like, kind of dragging out that ending across 2 seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was already kind of getting to that point. Like, you could kind of tell that, like with Parks and Rec, that the actors had kind of moved on. They were doing other things. Like Chris Pratt was like ripped in the end of it.
Up, yeah.
Like no, he was like he was like Star-Lord body in this like dopey character. It's like this doesn't even make sense anymore.
But how they did it was so funny because it was like the most Andy answer ever. He's like, yeah, I just stopped drinking beer for like a month and I just lost all this weight. I was just like, that's hilarious. I love that. But I feel like there's like some shows that did it well, some movies that ended well, like Avatar. I wasn't a fan of the first one, but I feel like it was so epic and great for some people, and it was such a long gap between the sequel. It's just like, and now they're trying to make a whole franchise, and I'm just like, dude, your first one was good enough for everyone. Like you could have just stopped there and been okay for like you're not okay with just being the most profitable movie of all time. Like you're not. Like, come on. Anyway.
Yeah, it took him 12 years to make the first one, too.
I know.
Like, he's like 12 years in between movies. I'm like, why does it take 12 years to remake Ferngully?
I'm just... Oh my gosh. But yeah, you have any final thoughts on this money grabber concept that we've talked about?
No shame in your movie taste. If we've mentioned any movies that you like and you thought were valuable or artistic in some way, like, or you just liked it and you don't care what anybody thinks, like, there's no shame in what you enjoy. So
that's what I love about like this. It's like your opinion is yours, like, and like nobody can tell you not, because it's so divided, so much debate that could happen, and it's so subjective, like so that's why I love it though, because like whether you're heavily involved or not involved at all in the film world, you're still involved somehow, because you're like, oh, I don't like movies, and it's like, but people find that I find that interesting. Like people who don't like movies or don't really like, or like haven't seen a lot of movies or whatever, they're just like, yeah, it's just not me. I'm like, that's crazy. But there's like another, there's
I'm
like an
married
alternative.
to one of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna make a joke, but I just I don't know. If I knew your wife, like personally, like how I knew you a little bit, I would make the joke, but it's not. Anyway,
all right. Feel free.
Another day.
Okay.
But yeah, it's so subjective. So like what you like at the end of the day, because it's you. You know what you like, and I feel like we're just invested more so than the normal person. But then again, like there's probably people who are even more invested. They're probably making an episode out there to be like the genius of like franchises. Like, I'm like, probably like there probably is some kind of genius of it because it's working. Like it's just like, and maybe they take it as a win even though it's not a loss. They didn't profit. I don't know. Anyway, but thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Atlantic Theater. for having us here. It won't be the last time that you'll be on the show unless you say no forever, which I totally understand. But
No, we got to talk about Moonlight still.
I know, right? We got to do Oscar bait film.
Yeah.
So I do like Oscar watch party every year.
Okay.
So this March will be the 3rd year, and now that I have a bigger space, I can have more people come over. So maybe
All
we can do
right.
like an Oscar bait leading up to it.
Oh yeah.
And why these movies are going to get nominated or our predictions or whatever. Cause I do like a prediction episode.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, maybe we can do like an Oscar bait thing. Like, this is why
Yeah.
you guys make these movies like whatever. But again, thank you so much. And then if you want to just tell everybody about the free movie nights and like when they go on and like maybe the rest of the schedule for this year and starting next year kind of vibe.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of plan it month to month, so there's
Okay.
not a big plan in place. I'm taking a break in December, so there won't be any. Well, there might be movies, but I'm not a part of it, so I don't know what's going on. But I'll pick back up in January, and yeah, it's more of a social club than anything.
Yeah.
It's you hang out. Like I'm totally open to suggestions for what to show. So if you want to come hang out at the coffee shop, I'm here most of the time.
Nice.
And if you want to suggest a movie, I will hear it. I can't guarantee that I'll play it, but I will. I might tell you what I think's wrong with it, and we'll have a good conversation about it.
I love that.
But yeah, it's more the Thursday Night Cinema is more about the community than having this great taste in film.
Yeah.
And like kind of showing off your knowledge of film. The discussions are very low key, casual. You don't need to have a huge knowledge base about film techniques and terminology and things like that. It's just, how did you feel when you watched it? If you
Beauty of
hated it,
film.
that's great. I want to hear it.
Beauty of movies and your experience.
Yeah, so Thursday nights at 7. Doors open at 6:30. Follow at Atlantic Theaters on Instagram for clues